Hey, hello, and welcome to October. Welcome to this special edition of the Watch Club. We are the monthly filmmaker interview series of the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. I am program director James Sullivan, and today for this special edition, we have with us the winner of this year's fourth annual Yes Awards, the Young Emerging Filmmakers Showcase that we've been doing at the Newburyport Doc Fest. Pranny Sanwal is the filmmaker behind our winner this year, the PAHLEVAN of Fifth Avenue. Pranay is a junior at NYU in the film studies program, and he's with us now. Pranay, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on winning the Yes Awards this year, which
Yeah.
comes with $1,000 prize, which is pretty cool. My sons are college age, and I know what $1,000 would mean to them right now. What are you doing with what have you already spent it all?
I actually have. Yeah, so I got a new lens for my camera.
Oh, good. I was going to say, did you put it back into the work, or did you just have to pay your rent with it? You put it
Yeah,
back into the work.
yeah, put it back in store. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So your film is obviously really nicely done. We were very privileged to take a look at it, and obviously it became our winner. So do you want to tell us, first of all, tell us what a Pahlavan is in Indian culture? What is the
Yeah.
meaning of Pahlavan?
Well, I guess in Indian culture it means king, but in Iranian culture it's a term that they use to describe wrestlers, or a poet, I guess, as he mentions in the film, that that the poet uses to describe wrestlers that have this quality of meekness, of being humble, of humility, that I think encapsulates um, the the idea of what it truly means to be a wrestler in that culture, in
Yeah,
Iranian
so
culture.
it's like a combination of strength and humility, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's not just
And
like,
wisdom for
and
that
wisdom.
matter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your the the man that you profile, the Pahlavan.
uh,
He's a carpet dealer on Fifth Avenue,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He's got a shop.
yeah.
Tell us how you found out about his background, and his wrestling background.
Yeah, so I guess it all started my freshman year. So his store is 3 blocks away from my apartment, or my NYU dorm. And I'd always been intrigued to go in, but I think when I first came to NYU, I was a pretty timid, shy person. But
Mhm.
there was one night, because it's a beautiful store, and there was one night that I just couldn't refuse the urge that was calling me inside the store. And yeah, I went inside, and then I saw Hamid and another man just sitting drinking tea, and I just knew something was there. And yeah, so I just decided, with my like somewhat previous knowledge in Persian culture, decided to spark up a conversation. And 2 hours later, I was the one sitting down, drinking tea, while he was giving me this incredible his incredible backstory of in the sport of wrestling, and also obviously with the knowledge of drugs and Persian culture as a whole. But I guess that's where yeah, first came to light of his incredible career. Yeah.
Right, and so, and he coached, for years. Is he still coaching?
Yeah, so he still coaches at the New York Athletic Club. He runs like some wrestling sessions, I think twice a week.
Yeah, and
Still.
where did he coach? I forget which school did he coach at?
So first started his career at Syracuse.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, coaching under, I forget his name, but he was one of the. I think he's still regarded as one of the most legendary wrestling coaches in American history.
Wow.
And so yeah, he was with him at Syracuse, and then after that, he went to the U.S. men's the U.S. men's national team, which he was coaching. He was an assistant coach under uh Dan Gable, who's regarded as one of the greatest American wrestlers of all time.
Hmm,
And then yeah, you can see a photo in the credit
yeah.
sequence where him and Gable are there together. But yeah, he did that for 4 years, from I think 1980 to 1984, 85, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Persian culture, it seems like, the idea of wrestling and the strength, but also all of these ideas that we're talking about
Yeah,
that kind of come under the concept of what makes a Pahlavan.
yeah,
That's an ancient part of their culture, right? Like, I
yeah.
mean, wrestling goes way back, right? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously we know that, sort of Greco-Roman wrestling was part of the first Olympics or whatever, but
Yes.
I don't know that, many Americans, myself included, knew that wrestling in particular was a big part of ancient Persian culture. What did you? And I'm sure you learned plenty about that from Hamid, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was very interesting. Specifically, yeah, I guess with the Zurkane, which was the way that they practice, the way that they practice, because the way that they, I guess, practice sport, which
Mm,
was a combination of dance,
mm,
of rhythm, and just this combination that they were doing in reaction to the repression, specifically the Iranians, that the repression that they were experiencing from the invading Arab nations. And
mm,
it's actually the most interesting thing that I think I learned is that, so in these domes that they would perform these exercises, the door would be the height of their waist, so they would have to bow down
mm.
to enter this dome as as in the spirit of humbleness, and in
Yeah,
the spirit of in the spirit in the spirit that I think represents the nature of their the the nature of what they were doing, and I guess that it's bigger than the sport. It's bigger than the sport. It's bigger.
right. Very
It
much so. Yeah.
yeah, it's more about the culture and the qualities that they aspire from, performing
Right.
those exercises.
Right. At what point? So you went and sat and had tea with Hamid and started hearing his story. At what point
Yeah.
did you say to him, I'm a film student and I want to film you? And how did that conversation come about? And was that on a
Yeah.
different day?
Yeah, no, no. So actually, it came the next year, because I was taking this required NYU documentary course, and I was just thinking about different subjects and different ideas that I could potentially make a film out of.
Hmm.
But the first thing that struck my mind was obviously, Hamid, because that was the most pivotal moment of my freshman year, I think, which was a year that I
Mm,
tried to explore, and I tried to really engross myself um, in the city as much as I could, but
yeah.
that moment really stuck out to me as very transformative. I'm just seeing the kindness of a human being willing to, let a stranger into their world and like give them tea, and just even give the time to like,
Yeah.
give to let me know of his story, and just all of this incredible, you know, wisdom and everything. And I thought, yeah, so it was just like, for me, I guess when I was in the class, it was kind of like the first thing that came into my mind, and then I approached him for the film, because one of the other things is that he went very unrecognized
Right.
by the larger wrestling community. So I think um, yeah, that also aided to the reason why I thought that this project could be awesome to, potentially act as that recognition, but also just the recognition of his approach, which is not boisterous, which is not,
Yeah.
which is not, being the loudest one in the room, as
It's very much the
yeah,
opposite of what we
very
know
much
to
so.
be
Yeah,
pro wrestling
yeah,
in America. Pro wrestling, the fake
yeah,
wrestling
yeah, yeah.
is
So that's
like
why
all
I
about
thought,
like who's louder, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why, I mean, obviously that's how I tried to approach the piece, but it yeah. So I, obviously I went up to him, and then I mean, he was open the first, he was open to the project as soon as I mentioned to him, and
Mm,
he was like, anytime I wanted to come in and film, it was so awesome. He was very supportive of the project, and the you know yeah, the
yeah.
vision.
Where did you grow up and how did you come to NYU?
So I grew up in a small town in Lewis, Delaware, or a small town in Delaware called Lewis,
Yeah.
which, yeah, was a very rural community. Um, it was specifically like the schools that I went to, and I came to NYU. So I for high school I went to a boarding school called St. Andrews, which I don't know if you have heard of, but it
Yeah.
was the setting for the Dead Poet Society
Yeah.
film. So I like to say, like, that was that, I guess, ignited at least partially my interest in film. But anyway,
Mm,
yeah, I'd always been um, yeah, in high school is when I really developed an interest in storytelling, um, specifically with film, because I think film, I think it was able to reach places in me that I think no other
mm,
artistic medium could, and I think just growing up where I did, I think I experienced a lot of um, just self repression and a lot of I don't know. I think a lot of none a lot of how would I say it? Just a lot of experiences that I think aided with um, this drive to communicate.
mm,
I
mhm.
think to communicate from a place that I'm still excavating today. But
Yeah,
yes, then I got into film. I started making some films in high school, which were I think very pretty experimental. But NYU was the I started applying to all the film schools, and then NYU was the
yeah.
yeah, that's when I got into. So I
And it's also a very good one, so
yeah, yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Where do you think you're headed? Where do you think, you're like, in terms of your film career, where would you like to be, when
Yeah,
after you graduate?
yeah.
Still got time. I'm not no pressure.
Yeah. Well, I ideally would love to be directing documentaries. I know that that's not it's more of a process and it takes time, and also you know I think actually I think probably ideally I would be close to finding a subject that I would be willing to commit like 5 to 7 years
Mm,
um, to 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 document, I guess, because I know that's the typical length for a feature documentary. But I think yeah, if I can be at a place where I'm ready to sacrifice a good chunk of time for a project that um, as with this one that is inspiring to me, and
yeah,
one that I think can be um, inspiring to others, and get and hopefully have them experience that same sense of transformation that I felt, I guess,
yeah, yeah.
when I even met him in the first place.
Right. Well, that comes through loud and clear in the film, and obviously
Yeah,
that's why we liked it.
yeah,
So congratulations again. I just want to mention that you told me before we came on air here that you have now made the film available on YouTube, right?
yeah, yeah,
So we'll make sure to post that with this interview so that people can find it and watch the film. It's a short film, obviously, so it's about 8 minutes, I think, if I remember correctly.
yeah. It's like 820, 820.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we'll make sure to add the link to the post now
Mhm.
to this interview. And congratulations again on winning the S Award. And we'll look forward to keeping in tabs on your career and
Yeah,
hearing from you when you work on your next student project or when you get out of school and what you're working on then.
yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Um, thanks again, Pranay. Thanks to you all for a great year. This was our 20th year at the Newburyport Doc Fest. Our festival just ended a couple of weeks ago in September. Look forward to seeing you here for the next Watch Club. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll see you soon. I just want to say thanks in particular to the sponsor of the Watch Club, which is the Ford Hall Forum. And we'll see you next time here on the Watch Club.